Underway. First project for review is 324 Hawthorne Avenue window replacement. This one's a public hearing. Any
Yeah,
comments from the board?
I have a question. The window quote that we got, the windows don't match the size or the style of what's shown on the drawings.
No,
The
No.
the ones shown on the drawings are 6 light, taller and thinner. What's shown on the window quote, these windows are about 8 inches shorter and maybe 10 inches wider than what's shown on the drawing. So I'm wondering what we're really getting.
Mhm.
yeah, I had the same comment. I do appreciate the drawing.
No.
Mhm.
That was very refreshing,
Drawing looks good.
very refreshing. I like that.
Okay, we can clarify and discuss public hearing anyway, so. All right, next we have 1432 Bridle Road.
I had a comment on the front window, the Chicago style window that we're gonna be replacing doesn't have the thick moles in between the, like the Chicago style window. And it looks like that window's 10 feet wide from
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
seems like a really long span for,
And replacing that with sliders.
yeah.
Mhm.
I was
Um,
wondering if those aren't structural moles because of the span of the
span.
window.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I really do think the Chicago style
Adds.
adds a lot to
No.
the house.
right.
So maybe we can discuss some options there.
Well, and then there was,
A large window with the walls.
comments in the cut sheet said windows don't meet egress. So,
Yeah, I think that's a Webster code thing where
yeah,
you try to do the best you can,
Mhm.
well,
but it's,
what we've done, and I'm sure you guys have too, you put in a casement and then put that horizontal mull in there to replicate a double hung.
oh, are they double hung?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's,
And there was also
okay, yeah.
a
You
notation.
know what I mean? I
Yep,
mean, that'll
we
get
have
you
done
the
that before.
egress and then it'll fit within the opening.
Yeah. It's a
There,
good
there was
suggestion.
also a notation that I was wondering about in some of the window text. It said something about using lattice or OG to cover where the moles are removed, and I was wondering what that was talking about.
Yeah,
So I think we got a few items. I think I highlighted it on here.
So I'm also always discouraging sliders just because of the maintenance of the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cables are always a win. I mean,
yeah, same there.
Yeah, it's on page 5 of 23. 2 moles to be removed on 101, 1 mole to be removed on 109. Use lattice or OG to cover mole removals. So I wondered what they had in mind there.
Mm. Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm. I will discuss that one. Next, we have 24 Villawood Lane. It's a front and rear porch and a deck. Comments from the board on this one?
I'm not sure if the open truss style of the porch matches anything about the house.
Yeah, Yeah.
Just my
Yeah.
my style opinion, I guess.
Yeah, especially when it's really not displaying anything except lap siding beyond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Someone's locked out.
he got the call.
Thanks,
My
Jeff.
comment was on the shed roof on the front. I think we could shallow up the slope a little bit and give them some room to do some flashing underneath that dormer.
I had that same comment
Yeah.
about increasing the clearance there.
Yeah.
And then on the rear elevation, It looks like that's a mightily long span of screen without any sort of dividers. So I'm wondering if something might be missing there.
Right? We're just finishing up 24 Villawood Lane. Did you have any comments on that one? Chuck? Villawood. Yeah.
I didn't have any comments, Bob.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have 12 East Glendale Road. This is FAR approval.
I didn't see the analysis, the FAR analysis of the surrounding properties that we're usually accustomed to seeing on this submittal. And I was wondering if that's still required, is it not?
We used an example from previous and they gave it their best shot. We didn't realize that you wanted to see examples of this, the surrounding floor area ratio within 150 feet.
Right.
So that is not included. They gave it a shot with this.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering because I'm familiar with that area and I drove over there today and this is already by far one of the largest houses over there.
Mhm.
And that's why I was particularly looking for the FAR analysis and didn't see it.
No notes on the drawings, no notes as far as matching materials or, I mean, I assume that's what they're gonna do, but I didn't.
This is in advance of the design.
Yeah.
Before they moved forward, they wanted to make sure they could. So that
Okay.
this is just for the FAR.
Okay.
With the far, since we're kind of in the back of the house, I'm okay with it. But if we give them kind of an approval, yes, you can, you can have this additional square footage. Would we be able to tell them that it has to be kind of concealed by the front? Like they couldn't just do whatever they want. Once they get that approval, they would have to kind
Could
of
be
do. what
conditional.
Yeah, okay.
And
That's
and
the-
stay in the footprint and not expand the site coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's totally approvable.
Okay, we can have that discussion. All right. Next, is 330 North 4 Avenue. We saw this preliminary last meeting.
It looks like we have two buildings here. We have the new build at 400 North Rock Hill, and then the 330 North Gore is the maybe building renovation. So it looks like I just want to
Combined.
clarify that it's actually two separate buildings in this same proposal.
So are we just looking at the maybe project for tonight? or-
That's what I wanted to clarify because it looks like there's two buildings in this
Yeah.
the middle. The first part is the new build at 400 North Rock Hill, and then in the back, there's some very small photographs and some small drawings of the maybe building.
The maybe building is for an interior renovation. And what's on the agenda tonight is the new hospital building.
Okay.
Wow.
It's on our agenda as the maybe building. That's why I was wondering what we're actually looking at here.
So Jim, they're not doing anything on the exterior of the Navy building? It's all existing with some repair
Nope.
work or?
We'll verify that.
Yeah, it seemed like our comments from last time weren't picked up either.
No, I'm not seeing that.
No, that nothing that I saw was picked up.
As far as like materials, we talked about the upper, we talked about the canopy, we talked about stone and the upper parapet. I don't
And
think
the
any of that
mechanical
changed.
screening,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm not seeing any of those pickups.
There's a site view.
right,
Mhm.
but everything else looks to be the same.
I suspect they're gonna make a case.
Yeah.
In a different direction.
Yeah, okay. Um,
Well, we're wondering what we're approving because we have the submittal for two different buildings at two different addresses, but there's only, the maybe building is the only one listed on our agenda. So are you looking for approval of two projects or one?
Mhm.
We're also given like, B 141 and, or A 141 and framing details for windows.
It is the, it,
yeah,
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so you are doing some work on the maybe. You are doing some front elevation work on the maybe building, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought was in
So-
the packet. I just want to make sure that that's what we're,
But you're looking for approval of both projects this evening, is that what I'm understanding? Okay, so there is two projects because we go building by building, not really, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Gotcha.
And then more, and then, oh, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. We're just trying to clarify exactly what we're looking at here and what we're going to be reviewing and approving. Yeah, I went through the drawings. That's why I raised the question. Because I saw that there was two separate buildings and two different addresses.
Last time, we spoke mostly about the hospital, we spoke just briefly about maybe, the Baton building, I think you call it, in that is that mostly interior work.
Mhm.
A little bit.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Clear as mud. I said it's clear as mud. I know.
I think the comment was made last time that the mechanical screening is a little distracting from the building because there's obviously been nice attention paid to the form and the rhythm of the facade of the building, but then the mechanical screening kind of pops up in sort of a haphazard, irregular look. And I think it's very distracting from the nice work that was done on the building facades. And I think the comment was made last time that maybe if those mechanical screens were a little more monolithic, it wouldn't look quite so up and down and odd spacing and such. I think that would help improve the look a lot.
You're saying rather than having separate screens around each unit, maybe have one
Yeah,
larger screen around.
around the perimeter. Because, you know, we have so many height variations and they start and stop at intervals that aren't related to the facade. I find it very distracting.
One I had was the suggestion or the feasibility of that ribbon along the top. If it's not stone, make it distinctly different than the stone, so it doesn't try to be fake stone.
Mhm.
Like, maybe not, maybe not make it limestone colored, maybe match the darker panel, maybe go over the middle or something like that. I don't know if that's a deal breaker for me, but that's just my suggestion. Yes.
That was a good suggestion. It looks like they've indicated an area for signage on the elevation, the front elevation. It looks like that, could potentially overlap with the stone. And I think,
Which page are you on?
it's on the exterior elevations A2.11. I think if we were to keep that signage below that
Oh, yeah.
stone element, it would read better,
Mhm.
once they decide what that is.
Would the proposed signage be part of a signage package for review later?
Signs separate permit.
It might be nice to show something closer to what it might be. In the end, I know it's a different review process, but. Making the sign equal to the building design rather than. Sticking it on the building later. You, something to think about.
My only additional comment would be looking at the maybe buildings alterations. The idea of adding stone to highlight the entry makes sense, but maybe the way it's being proposed seems a little bit unusual how the stone is used elsewhere on campus. You could consider maybe, I'm not sure if that's a pilaster, maybe a panel next to at the height of the storefront, but maybe not take the stone all the way up into the gable, just leave the metal material. There's a way to maybe clean that detail up a bit. Was one thought I had.
I had some notes on the stone as well. It seems that that style of stone is a bit rustic for the style of the building, and especially if they're thinking of it blending with the new building, maybe going to more of a coursed ashlar look rather than that sort of random field stone look would help the two blend better and kind of, I think it would look better with the scale of the building. The scale of that stone seems awfully large. Perhaps it's
Right.
just the way it was rendered or something, but there's some clarification that's needed there, I think.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I don't know if we talked about specifically last time, but maybe we can discuss it. The original stone, the native Missouri limestone that's on the campus, and then some of the newer projects, the pattern is pretty specific. So I don't know if that's what we're gonna try to match with the new or not, but it doesn't look like what's rendered on the maybe for sure. But maybe that's just a drafting.
Yeah,
Hatch.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would agree to confirm a
yeah.
stone pattern that is similar to the context on other buildings that exist on campus.
Is the existing rock house, is that a is it a mixed
The
of buff and gray or?
The
is it-
original rock house was white Missouri native limestone. The white Lannon stone for the adjacent training center was similar,
Okay.
as was the school. But all sort of the same color range.
Mm.
I'm asking because I'm looking at the rendering there and it's
You
more of
see
a,
some tans.
more of a
and-
buff and tan.
Mhm.
Didn't know if we would suggest they source it so it isn't the same
Yeah,
white limestone family.
right. All right. We can discuss that.
And then also just ask if these exhibits were part of,
Oh, yeah. The
for our review.
forefront.
Yeah, I think, didn't they talk last time about windows,
Yeah.
style and all that? So,
Yeah.
Okay.
on the security windows.
Got it.
And then we also have fencing. Is that something I guess we'd asked about that was added?
Oh, yeah. If we
Did
can
you
go
get a
12 feet.
chance to find out about the fence height, Jim? 10 foot.
Yes. Anything else? All right, with that, we will take a 7 or 8 minute recess. The official meeting will start at 5:30. If everyone can wait until then, I appreciate your, thanks. All right, welcome everyone to the Architectural Review Board meeting. We finished our work session. Want to introduce Jim Bailey and Taco Bell with the city, Carol Dunkey, Tracy Collins, Chuck Yannicki, David Yates, and myself, Bob Buckman, all volunteer architects on the review board. First item of business is meeting minutes from February 20th. And may I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the February 20th meeting minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting minutes have been approved as written. All right, and at this point, if we call your project and you're here present, we ask that you come forward and to the microphone, introduce yourself, and we'll discuss your project. If you're online, you can raise your Zoom hand and Tacoa will add you to the discussion. First project is a public hearing, 324 Hawthorne Avenue. Anyone present?
Hello, I'm Tom Ziegler, homeowner.
Hi, welcome,
Um,
Tom.
I'm planning to convert a sleeping porch to a walk-in closet. And I need to replace the original windows because I'm doing that. Wanted to take the opportunity to change the window configuration to add a little window space inside for the closet. From 4 double window units to 3 on the east side of the house. And then on the south side, going from a triple window unit to a double to create space for a mini split. I heard in your work session, the comments about the dimensions not matching up from my estimate for the windows to the drawing. I don't know what happened. I didn't catch that. Then I looked after you said it and I saw it. The intent is to match the window sizes. And I had provided the specs to the architect. I don't know what happened, but the plan is to match the window sizes.
So the order form is correct and the drawings are wrong? Is that right?
I don't know.
Okay.
It is pretty critical because it's substantially different.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my contractor come back out and remeasure.
Yeah, because if we're talking about these windows that are like 8 inches shorter and 10 inches wider than what's shown on your drawings,
Right.
that's an entirely different design and it'll have an entirely different look.
I don't want a different look.
Okay, so yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. Because
Trying to maintain the look.
Yeah,
The
it
hope here
looks
was to
like-
make this easy.
it looks like windows matching this configuration have already been installed in another part of the house. That's why I was trying to verify. Because these windows on the back match what's in your proposal. So you're going with what's on the drawing then. You want to look at this so we can decide? I mean, I can show you the drawing and show you.
I'm going with what's on the drawing. I
Okay.
think what you have are wrong specs.
Okay, so what was submitted is incorrect and
Yes.
we're going with what's on the drawing.
Correct.
Okay, that's good.
What's on the drawing for sure.
And it's going to be the same dimension as the existing windows and it's going to be the same grill pattern. as
Same
the-
grill pattern.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So are the existing wood windows, are they in some sort of distressed condition or?
They don't open, close well. They're rickety. They're pretty bad condition.
I mean, I have 100-year-old windows too. I just, sometimes they can be restored and I'd wondered if you'd looked into that.
I have not.
Okay.
They're in really bad condition and since I'm going to be using the space, it's not a sleeping porch, also wanted it to be more energy efficient.
Okay. And so as far as the style of windows you're using, are you planning on using like a simulated divided light or do you?
I'm flexible on
Okay.
that.
Okay. And let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to look through here and verify what type of, they're talking about vinyl drip cap and so what it says, I'm not familiar with this Manchester series. What material are those windows?
That's vinyl.
It's vinyl?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of vinyl windows on a historic house is probably not the best choice for the long term. So you might want to consider a clad window. It would be more compatible with the house. And I mean, it's a beautiful house.
Yeah,
And-
I did get quotes from Anderson on a wood clad product too. It was just twice the cost.
Yeah,
The vinyl clad was much cheaper.
yeah. That's a shame because, you can tell from the street, when you look and see and there's, Marvin has polyclad windows, which are less expensive than the metal clad and have a much better look. And it would be more compatible for an historic house.
Okay.
So, it looks like you're changing the pattern of the fenestration. We're, removing some windows and going to more wall space. Was there a particular reason you wanted more wall space?
Just because it's a closet and I want to be able to utilize wall space for hanging and storage.
Mhm. Yeah, I would urge you to go to a different material other than vinyl windows, especially since it is so visible from the street and it's such a beautiful house. I just think that long-term you would be better off with a nice quality polyclad.
If that's what's required for approval, I will do that. I did get quotes from Anderson for that product.
Yeah, I thought you said it was metal clad rather than polyclad.
No, not polyclad.
I think Marvin makes a clad window that works pretty well too.
That's what I was talking about, the Marvin Polyclad.
Yeah, I think it gets a suggestion because of, just for you as a homeowner, long-term wise, the vinyl is not gonna last nearly as long. So, as far as the proportions and the moles on the drawings, I don't have any issues
Yeah.
with what's shown. Anyone else?
Yeah,
No, I
I'm
think that-
really
that-
relieved to
yeah.
hear we're going with the drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
No, ultimately, my plan is to also get to the windows on the back and the other sleeping porch. I think you got quotes on that, but that's not part of this project. That's down the road because I don't have money for both of
We understand how that works.
This one back here.
them. That's why they match.
Yeah.
All right, any additional comments? Public hearing, is there anyone present that want to make a comment on 324 Hawthorne? Don't see anyone online or in person, so with that, may I have a motion on 324 Hawthorne?
Make a motion to approve 324 Hawthorne as submitted
With the
Oh,
the
with- yeah,
clarification that's
the,
drawings.
with the direction of the design per the drawings, not the order form.
Second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, you're approved as noted.
Much appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we have 1432 Bridle Road. Anyone present online for that or in person? No one? We can table that and come back to it and keep moving forward. Next, we have 24 Villawood Lane, front and rear porch.
Hello, I am Katie Neeson Cook with Jim Bolesky Architects. My clients are interested in a sizable rear screened porch off the back of their house, and they would like to add a front porch as well. The existing house does not have any real cover at the front door, so it's a combination of protecting the door and curb appeal, so.
I just had one comment on the shed roof of the front porch. It looks like you're pretty close to that roof or the, sorry,
window.
windowsill. And I was wondering if maybe you shallow it up just a little bit to give yourself room for flashing.
I will make a note to make sure that we leave at least 6 inches and maximize the slope, but maintain 6 inches.
Sounds good.
And on the rear elevation, it looks like there's a very long uninterrupted span of screen. It seems like there would need to be some support or dividers there somewhere.
They are looking at a product called Screen Ease, and they can do screen panels that are very large.
That's a big.
It is a big
screen.
screen. I originally had it split up and they were like, no, no, no. So,
Yeah, I'm curious about it, that product, because it seems to me a span of screen that long is going to warp and wave and,
Or a dog.
yeah, really, yeah,
that's why the railing is inside the screen.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think it would look nicer divided up, but I'm not gonna, I wouldn't vote against it. I just,
Yeah, I
a little
originally had it as 3 or 5 panels and they
Yeah.
asked me to switch it to 1 and
Yeah.
use this product. So
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's,
think the three panels would look a lot nicer, not a lot more balanced.
yeah,
But-
I agree. And then, Dave, did you have a question about the style of the front porch?
Yeah, I think just the style of the heavy timber front porch just didn't really necessarily fit style of the house, all this.
I generally agree with that statement.
What's that?
I generally agree.
Okay,
It's
okay,
what they asked for.
okay. So, yeah, so if they consider something different, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted the vaulted ceiling over the
Okay.
port, over the front door.
And even if they would consider, if they wanted the vaulted ceiling, like when you're standing inside and looking up, you see the vault, and just have a panel behind the timber, so it wasn't just the
Open.
open work, and all we're really looking at is siding.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like, ta-da, and we're supposed to look up there, but then we're just seeing
Well, the
siding.
siding is back at the
Yeah,
door.
I
Yeah.
understand, but sometimes there's like a lantern or something there, but it just, I think maybe if they would consider the option of closing that off, they could still have the timber configuration, but without the openness, might help make it a little more compatible with the style of the house. And, we can, I mean, if it's agreeable with everybody else on the board, I mean, we could just add that as an option perhaps, and that way you could discuss it with your
That'd
clients.
be fine with me.
Well, I think too, that would offer some, a little more protection for your front porch. I mean, now you've got this big open
Right.
gable and you want a covered porch, but now it's all open, so.
Yeah.
I think it would be.
Or
you know,
bird nests.
or-
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, and we give people at the door more protection from the elements,
Right.
so that, there's a lot of possibilities going for that. And the bird nest thing is not always
you.
welcoming at the front door.
I mean, you still get that look that
Right.
that they want, but a little more
I
protection.
I
think
am
would be
happy to
good.
discuss that with them.
Absolutely.
All right. I think with that, we can make a motion, please, someone.
Oh, I'll make a,
Carol.
okay, I'll jump right on in there.
Carol.
Carol is
Yeah.
better at the.
I'll make a motion to approve 24 Villawood Lane with the understanding that there will be a minimum of 6-inch clearance between the top of the new shed roof and the bottom of the existing dormer window, and that the homeowners have the option to close off the open timber frame, so it's not transparent. The timber elements can remain, but the opening will be closed off and the vault can be maintained on the interior.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, Katie, you approved as
Thank you.
noted. Thank you. All right. Oh, where am I? I lost my sheet of paper.
Glendale.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Sorry. 12 East Glendale Road. I was looking at the wrong sheet.
Good evening. My name is David Hercules with Hercules Design Build. And I have Dave and Krista Lieber here, who are the homeowners. Considering this is a little bit of an unusual request to come before the ARB, I thought it might be helpful to kind of start with them maybe just really briefly explaining the reason why they want to expand their home. So, and then I'll get into the nitty gritty of the project.
Hi, Dave and Krista. 3 years ago, her twin sister died, and 4 months before that, her twin sister's husband died. We took in their 3 kids and dog pretty quickly. So we went from 1 to 3 to 6 kids within the span of about 18 months.
Wow.
It was a lot of adjustment, but we've been kind of trying to figure out options for space as the kids get into adolescence and are growing. Some of them work well with each other, others don't. So we've tried a lot of different configurations, including our daughter slept in our master bedroom closet for like 2 years while we tried to figure out the specifics. So we were coming before the board to request a FAR allowance so that we could build 2 bedrooms and a bathroom additionally on the back of our garage. and get the kids a little bit more breathing space and us.
Anyway, so that's the impetus for the project and why we're requesting this increase of FAR, which we learned is in the hands of the ARB rather than the zoning board. So we're requesting the permission to go up to 0.40, which would allow us to put an addition on an existing rear garage. It's on the back of the house. It doesn't face the front. It's not, I mean, it's kind of visible from the front if you look at it from an angle, but it's essentially entirely behind the house. We want to just put a second story on that existing garage, which wouldn't quite take us up to 0.40, we don't think, but what we have and have supplied to you is kind of a preliminary conceptual idea of what that would be. That was done by an architect who's a friend of theirs. Then they engaged with us. We didn't do that floor plan, but that's what we're going to kind of be working toward and conceptually plan to build for the Liebers. Our understanding is that you know, the consideration is how it would appear from the street and completely behind the house. There are a variety of homes around that block, and we've supplied some pictures of those as well, so you can kind of understand the context. It's not really out of context when you look at some of the other homes, not just on that side of the block, but around and behind. These kind of projects have happened. So that's really the goal, is to get them some additional bedrooms and another bathroom in the most efficient way possible. Finding a house that works in Webster Groves is not really something that they've been able to accomplish, and it's hard to do. So questions, clarifications?
So you're not going to expand on the footprint then of the original house, and you're gonna-
No.
Okay.
So then once you're, uh-oh. So once you, we make a determination on the FAR, you're going to develop design a little further, but based on this overall configuration.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Our goal here is to just get permission to go up to the 0.4, then we will dive into our normal design process, and we expect to be back
Yeah.
to get, you know, full approval of the design once we've, you know, done our normal process.
So they have more information with the elevations and.
Correct.
those-
Elevations, probably 3D model, the whole bit. We'll be back, you know,
Yeah.
to get approval
Got
of
it.
the final design.
Sure.
Got it. Okay.
But we didn't want to spend all that
Right.
money not knowing if it was going to be allowed. So
Yeah, that's
Okay.
very smart.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
That's a
smart.
good idea.
Yeah, I think in our, were you all here for our work session? Did you hear the discussion earlier? I think, you know, there was kind of a general discussion among the members that if your plan was to not expand the footprint of the house and not expand the site coverage and to just go straight up with everything behind the house,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think there was a comfort level with that. Is
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Right. Okay. Then I think we're good for our vote then. Thank you. May I have a motion on 12 East Glendale Road FAR approval?
I make a motion to approve 12 East Glendale Road as submitted with the stipulation that the addition will be in the same footprint and no more lot coverage than already there.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. All right. Last project, or we'll have to go back to one. We'll go ahead and do 330 North Gore Avenue next.
I'm Greg Bratcher with BJC, but here today with me are Robert Koenig with the architecture firm Hafner Walker, and on the phone is Michael Goslinger, who you spoke with last time. Then also here are Mike Homer, Carl Felsinger, and that's it from J.E. Dunn. And I forgot Austin Granger from, my mistake, from the architect firm. And then David Welton from Frontenac Engineering is here. So Michael, you're on the phone, am I correct?
He is live.
Cool. I'll let him, again, he's got a next to his name.
Hey, so what? Right, so the last time, I think, Michael, well, when you were here, we discussed a few things.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to start by anything that has been revised since we saw it, if any.
Yeah, so I think, and I was able to listen to the pre-session along with our other colleagues there in the room. And so I think as a good summary from the last meeting, at least I know that I had, that there were some additional views that were requested to look from, you mentioned the mechanical screen, the ability to see those from the road, and just an ability to kind of gauge our building in relation and context to the maybe building adjacent. We did talk about some of the upper material along a portion of the building, as well as the fencing, and we talked about the scale of the canopy. So we looked back and we reviewed all those things, and so the additional documents we did provide, just to make sure everybody has those and has had a chance to review them. We did provide additional views from 3 locations along the west and 3 locations along the south. So views from the perimeter so that you could see from the right of way what that relation is adjacent to maybe, as well as the limited ability, in most instances, the inability to see any of the mechanical screens from the street. We also provided a rendering that showed the fence and a colored site plan that just kind of identified it as clearly as possible where those different fence types are. And then we did add, because I admittedly I did misspeak a little bit about maybe last time, so we just wanted to make sure we pointed that out. We are doing a small renovation to a portion of the maybe there where that new entry is going to be, and so that we did provide that elevation for that. So we did provide some additional drawings, and I think you guys have hopefully seen all those. And then additionally, what we do have in the room, which will help, I think, from your prior conversation, we actually did bring in the physical materials of the building. So in relation to the conversation about the scale and the size and the color of stone, we've got physical materials of the brick, the stone, metal, and others in the room that, again, we can point to provide a little more clarity there to help with that. So I'll speak to some of the things that we did review as a follow-up to that meeting. And as a point of note, this building has been, this building has been completed in another location. This is kind of the second prototype of that in the Kansas City area, in Olathe actually. And so some of these elements, like the canopy, I'll start there, have been, I'll say, already tested out in an actual environment, and it's sort of sized and scaled appropriately to that. So for the canopy, we did not adjust that. I believe part of the conversation was about the scale of that, the height as it relates to the remainder of the building. Some of those heights are established by, as architects, we need to ensure that emergency vehicles or a rogue UPS truck doesn't come down and try to come underneath that canopy and unfortunately hit it. So that the height of that is pretty well set, just kind of to meet those standards of emergency service vehicles as well as taller delivery vehicles. But again, it's been built in place and accommodates the 2 vehicles that has been requested so that the passenger can exit out on the side. We did talk in quite amount of detail as well about the EIFS on the top of the building. And, I think one of the big things, from just not specific to the material itself, but as this project in general, it's really trying to complement the campus, but it's also a new era for the campus. The campus has originally owned by a prior ownership group that has had some struggles in the past, had to sell the project. I'm sure many people have heard all those stories. And so I think a big part of that is, and these are just subtle little things, but trying not to emulate every material that's on the current campus, on the new one, just in an effort to sort of turn the page slightly, let this building be its own unique character in that, is a big part of that. And so I think we did not change that. I guess just to make that clear, we are still seeking approval with that same material at the top of the building. we did look at a number of options. We actually priced with our contractor who's in the room as well. We priced those different options we all discussed, which was taking the brick to the top or converting that to some other different metal that could be complementary. And those different options did range in price, but it could be as much as $100,000 add to the project, which was just it was a challenge, admittedly, in discussing that with the client. So it was one that they felt that it was preferred to try to keep that material the same. We talked about the mechanical screens. I think I mentioned again those 3D views. So we've tried to provide about 6 different views from the different sides of the campus to admittedly show you that mechanical screens, though they really are there's very limited ability to see them. We've very purposely clustered them into the center of the body of the building so that those views can be seen. And I think if you looked at those different views, you'll see one, there's a pretty heavy tree cover along all perimeter of the sides. But additionally, that the site drops off quite a bit, especially as it goes to the south. And so your view line to those mechanical screens are just not, it's just not possible. And admittedly, in those elevations, they look quite big, but in reality, that's just not the case because of how the grade works and because of how far back they are. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Again, we're talking about those materials, and again, our guys in the room can show you. We are basing the stone type, the pattern, the scale, and the color, again, on those existing buildings. So we are trying to emulate that historic rock house. So we have a lighter tone and a scale and an ashlar pattern that is keeping with those stones on the campus. And then same with the maybe entry. And I think that's what your point was, and that's correct. Your assumption was that hatch pattern was purely sort of an architectural pattern to denote a material. It was not necessarily intended to reflect the actual material itself. So that pattern is not accurate to the material itself. So I apologize for that. That is understandably confusing, but that's why we wanted to bring in those actual materials for everyone to see. And then lastly, if I had anything else, the fence. So again, just to confirm, I'll let you guys respond here in a second if the information on the fence was sufficient. But again, we tried to provide that rendering to better convey the fence material and location. So let me know if I missed anything, but those were the handful of items I know we wanted to make sure we touched on that you guys had already discussed in your pre-meeting.
I think you hit all the items we discussed the last time. We do see a couple of different ephes colors up here. One's darker, similar to the maybe buildings cladding, and then one's a little bit lighter, but not as light as the stone. What's the plan for the ephes?
So and I'll reference the rendering on the front cover of the package we submitted, just because that's probably easiest to reference that. So that darker color is utilized, and you can kind of see it on the elevations too, where we've made the window appear larger than it is, just to kind of help with the scale of the building. And so that darker ephes is actually sitting right above the window inside of the brick. So again, it captures a slightly larger opening without having to pay for additional glass that it would be spandrel glass. It wouldn't be vision glass because that's above the ceiling line. So we're using that as an ability to create a larger expression for the window. So that's the darker color. And then the lighter color that you're mentioning is what is the color at the top. So it complements the stone, but it's not trying to match it.
So the 130 stout color is the band across the top of the building.
Yeah, it's
Is
dark,
that
a lot darker than the stone for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
is that a panel product? Or no, the ephes is it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it being darker.
Mm,
The rendering's a bit misleading, where it's almost the same tone as the stone.
Right.
But I do like it darker, so that you can tell that it's something other than the stone.
Yeah.
It makes that front entry more special, if you will.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, and then, so the coping that would be on the ephes you would see is gonna be the color of the sheet metal that matches the sheet metal.
Yeah, it's kind of I'll call it a medium gray. That in which is that color of metal is consistent with the campus. That kind of, I'll call it again, medium gray is consistent throughout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's two colors of cast stone. Where is the cast stone being used?
The primary use is at the windowsill, and then there's and if you flip to if you have the rendering that shows the fence, I'm flipping to it on my own screen here as well. But there's a wall that splits the two courtyards that's behind the fence. So it's not really public view from the public, but there's a wall behind there that is using that cast stone as well.
Okay.
That's the lighter color?
Correct.
Okay, and then the darker color is under the windows on the main elevation. Okay. So the stone that's in the lower right, and I'm looking at the photograph of the stone for the fence, are these supposed to be the same or? Okay. Okay. Great, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is the stone veneer a natural limestone or is it a manufactured stone or? It's manufactured stone. Okay. Mhm. Yeah.
So again, that stone pattern then that you showed us is going to be on the maybe. Hmm.
Is that a pattern that you were at before the building itself?
You might not be able to hear you. I'm not sure. Michael, were you able to hear that comment?
I'm sorry, I was not. Yeah, if that was directed
Yeah,
towards me, sorry. But
Head over.
if that comment was about the same, yeah, the stone is the same on the two buildings. If that was the question you still were trying to get a response to, that they
Michael,
are the
they're
same.
talking about the stone, the manufactured stone panel being a match to the ashlar pattern that's on the sample board. That's the question they've asked.
Oh,
Yes, no, it is intended to be an ashlar pattern that has varying sizes of stones. That's correct.
And I believe that was one of the questions you had asked earlier as well. I want to make sure we address that accordingly.
Right. And then the roof screen material is the metal that we're looking at, the gray.
Mhm.
It's actually the color of the that's a really strong attempt to make those rooftop units almost gold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been primarily from Door and from Rock Hill, is not some of those.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
the lighter brown colored ephes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had one comment on the signage. I know that will be a separate permit, but it looked like on the elevation, there was a dashed outline of where that signage could go. And it overlapped with that stone band that you have at the top of the building. And I just thought that element is nice, how it kind of turns a corner and turns down. I feel like you want to maintain that and not cover it with signage. Yeah, just bring
Right.
it down below that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know that you guys don't know what that is yet, but it'd be nice if you would just, yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
On that render there on the top left, is that a shadow over that L piece of stone that comes down? At the bottom? No, over to the far left. Is that a shadow over the stone? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
There's some issues going there with pieces that were left in that building. But that's not, I think, the change colors and stuff.
Okay.
No, they're all
Okay,
right.
good.
Gonna be the same
Yeah.
that we're looking at. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jim might have done some little code research in our work session and found some information on the fencing.
Maximum fence height for institutional, 10 foot. I think your fence is shown at 12.
You're currently going with the facilities guidelines institute, which for psychiatric hospitals in a mental health facility such as this. The new recommendation by the FTI for that specific fence line. I would tell you that fence is not seen by the general public. It's only seen interior to the campus itself, but it is considered to be safer.
It's only here.
So the 12 feet is the new standard that we are starting to.
Our ordinance has not caught up.
But that's what that.
Yeah.
Again, facilities guideline. Construction of hospital.
Is that just a variant
Is
that
that
they
a-
applied for?
Board of Adjustment thing?
We can.
Potentially
It's not
small enough, depends how concerned we are. Could be, we
Administratively.
could make, could be administratively. I'd have to review that.
Yeah.
It was quite.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Is this a picture of your project? Okay. Yeah.
That's a really good rendering.
The one from Kansas
When I
City.
started looking at it, I was like, that's the same plan. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, announce it.
Yeah.
Or you want me to?
The councilwoman, I believe Jamie Hathaway,
Yeah.
she's raised her hand, so I'm gonna give
Okay,
her.
so that's
permission
shown
to
at
talk.
12. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh,
what
sorry, I was
Dakota-
saying, I believe the councilwoman, Jamie Hasmeyers has something to say.
Oh, Jamie's got her hand raised, I guess.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just, could everyone please just use the microphone at the podium or move it over, just so I'm able to capture all that's being said? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jamie.
I was just gonna make a comment about the roof screens. So I think given the placement of them and the scale of the site, I understand how they're being screened, and I think it's gonna work just fine. The approach that your team is going to take is you're putting the RTUs where they need to go, and you're making the screens around them, with the slope site and everything. I don't have any issues with the screen myself. I know that was a comment made. I'm not sure if anyone else is in disagreement with that, but I just want to let you guys know my thought on that. And so I just want to make sure, does anyone have any additional comments on the roof screen? We
No,
haven't really
I
discussed.
think I agree with that, Bob.
Yeah,
Definitely.
with everything being pushed
Push
back and more
Right.
clustered toward the center, I think that helps a lot.
Right.
There's a general attention has been paid to that to pull them back from the edges and towards the center of the building as much as possible. With each one of those pods though, running with those different RTUs. So there are some maximum distances we can cover with that, with efficiency of the duct. What is probably one of the things here with the roof screen in and of itself, it's directly associated with each one of those units. And so as those are installed in place there, those are almost maximized or minimized, if you will,
Mhm.
for the airflow around the unit, as
Right.
well as making it as a small box as we can. And so
Yeah.
that's a calculated piece that goes with those roof screens, as well as work on the units from time to time and filter
Right.
changes and so forth.
Well, we understand you have to have operational and service clearances.
And so
Right.
that is something we've learned through time on trying to pull these back, certainly from a pedestrian aspect, depending on where you are on the site, but we felt very strongly that from Gore and from Rock Hill, those units are very minimal in their, I'll say their dominance of the elevation of their push towards that front, those two prime elevations of the building.
Yeah. I want to ask a question about the stone at the entry to the maybe. Because it's the first time, I don't know if we reviewed it the last time, so if it's part of the review tonight. I just want to ask the question if you considered, I'm not really sure, I guess that the way the brick at the entry, or I'm sorry, the stone sort of announces the new entry, but it seems a little bit like as it runs across the window head and up into the gable, it seems a little bit odd to me. I'm not sure, it may be because of just the scale of it, but
Or thin.
thin. I don't know if you even considered, your ethos material, or if you're not, obviously trying to match that existing metal panel that's already there, that's 25 years old, probably doesn't make sense, but, question, I guess, for Michael and the design team. Just my thought, but I'm curious as to what you think.
Yeah, I'll start with the overarching intent, which we were trying to create a bit of depth at the entry. So the existing building has a little bit of overhang there already. And you can kind of tell on this A101 sheet that has the kind of colored room areas for the maybe building, how we're building out a little bit of I'll call it a pilaster adjacent to the door, so that stone has some depth to it as you enter in, and provides, again, just a little bit of cover and intentionality at that entry. I think as we looked at that, it was obviously trying to create some commonality with the entry of the new building adjacent to it, with the stone that kind of comes up and over and down with a little bit of that brick in between. Obviously, the proportions of this building are a little different. And admittedly, we studied a couple different ways with how that stone comes up underneath that eave. And I think we landed here because of trying to not overcomplicate it and try to get too many different materials right around there and get, I'll say too finicky with some of that addition of stone. At least that's the main entry, and how it kind of goes up into the peak was the intent, with keeping that all just one singular material.
All right, thank you.
I think that it'll help a lot if that's a coursed material rather than the way it's rendered.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments from the board?
What was the inclusion of the tri-fab glazing, just to show, based on the comments that we had last time about why the storefront spec information was in the submittal? Okay.
Can you say that into the microphone, please?
Security.
The question is why the storefront material was submitted for board review. And I think as a design team, we had heard that someone make a comment in regards to that. So we submitted
Okay. Yeah.
that material for board consideration, which is the storefront
Okay.
glass assemblies.
And that was probably my comment. And my comment was more about if they're going to have any sort of window screens that weren't shown in the rendering that we need to know about. But then there's gonna be some sort of security polycarbonate type laminated glazing of some sort. So,
And generally you'll see us, we're managing that with or glass types
yeah.
as much as anything else. And we've put that as appropriate from, I'll say, the distance from the floor up, and also any instances where I'll say someone might escalate or something, we've been attentive to that.
Yeah.
And that includes everything from the moment you touch the doors to come into the building all the way through.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think there's any other comments. Appreciate everyone's time and presenting the project thoroughly, and explanations as well. So I think with that, yes, Michael, did you want to say anything? Sorry. So with that, may I have a motion on 330 North 4?
I can make a motion, but do we want to include both addresses in the motion or does it matter?
I think for clarity, it might be best to include both addresses, do you think? Because we do have two separate buildings. I don't know, Bob. I guess that's.
Yeah, should we
question
have
for
two
you.
motions, one for one and one for the other?
I mean, I think you
I don't
could,
know what's,
I think you could mention both addresses in the same,
okay. I
same
will
motion.
Move to approve 400 North Rock Hill Road and 330 North Gore Avenue as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, you're approved. Thank you all. Good night. All right, I'm going to return back to project from the beginning. I believe was I want to say it right. I got my
1432 Bridal.
1432 Bridal Road. Anyone present for that online or in person?
There's nobody online.
Table.
Okay, so there's no one online. We will table 1432 Bridal till the next time. With that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.